So I want to share with you how to make my beet cakes. And of course, we're going to use tons of your good hemp flour and the oils and the olive oil that we made. So I'm excited to show you this. First of all, I'm going to have you grate the carrots and the beets for this. We're going to do a fine grate on 3 carrots. And then we're going to do a fine grate also on 1 beet. And so if you can grate that for me while I get this going here. Okay, and then I'm going to get the mushrooms, onions, and celery and garlic going here in a pan. We're going to just saute that off a little bit using the hemp olive oil that we made. Got that hot. I'm going to throw a little bit of garlic in there. That going. So once this garlic kind of starts going a little bit, we're going to add onions, a cup of onions, 1 cup of celery, and about 1.5 cups of fresh chopped mushrooms. This is going to take a second to cook down, but we're going to also add our special Chef Frank seasoning. This is a blend of salt, pepper, garlic powder, and a little bit of paprika. I just kind of make it myself because I use it for everything. And then I'm going to add a little bit of Franny's, the Abigail flour to this. It's going to, you get the earthiness with the mushrooms, and we're going to get a little bit of that earthiness from the fresh flour.
And fresh herbs from the garden.
And fresh thyme from the garden. So we're just trying to, because the beets and the carrots are so powerful, you want those earthy flavors from the cannabis and the mushrooms, the flavors from the celery and the onions, that savory. So now that you've got that all grated, we've grated the carrots, the beets. There's so much juice inside those beets that there's going to be too much juice in the patties themselves. And so if you can just actually ball that whole thing up maybe into one big softball and hold it over this and just kind of squeeze as much juice as you can get out of that into this bowl. Yeah, see, we want to get rid of that because then it's just not going to allow us to bind that. We can use this for other sauces and maybe soups and stuff later, but we don't want all that juice right now.
Foo-foo flour.
This is foo-foo flour, and I didn't know about it either until I have 3 adopted kids from the Congo, and this is a staple in their diet. It's basically a plantain flour that they make dumplings out of, and they'll have dumpling soups and things like that. And so I needed a binder, but I didn't want to use any kind of glutinous stuff, and so this is a great alternative to gluten. It's basically just pureed plantains. And we're going to use that to help bind our beet cakes together.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got our mushroom, onion, celery, garlic mixture done here. I'm just going to grab a towel. And then we're going to drop that into our food processor. Careful not to. Thank you. Get every last bit.
Yep. Every bit.
All right.
And we put this in?
So, yep. So that's 1 cup of barley. And this I'm using, again, to kind of create some body to this. And you don't want to, like, puree this thing. So we're just doing a little pulse, pulse, kind of like we're doing a cauliflower rice. We just want to get like a meaty consistency because it's almost like a meat substitute. And so when I was coming up with this recipe and how I, you know, what I wanted to taste and the texture that I wanted, I needed that, you know, something there because the beets kind of, once they get hot and the carrots get hot, they just kind of get mushy. And so this gives us like a nice meatier consistency. You can see there. Yeah, that's perfect, Franny. Why don't you add that there? I've got a little spatula that we can scrape the sides. Perfect. Yeah, so the mushrooms, the onions really go good with the beets.
Now, if somebody were not using fufu flour, would they just be able to use flour?
Use any kind of flour. You know, I just wanted one that didn't have gluten in it, and so I opted for this. I had a cabinet full of fufu flour, but we're going to add a little bit of this in there. It's going to be about maybe a quarter of a cup of the fufu flour.
And you're looking for like this consistency, right? Is it better to grab a glove and work it with your hand?
No, for now we just want to kind of stir it all together. We're going to also add some fresh parsley to give it some nice fresh flavors.
So pretty.
And then to continue layering the CBD, we're going to use some of the CBD oil in there. I'm going to use about 4 droppers of this because we're going to be using the CBD other ways too. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, just fold that. Right, so great job mixing that up. What I like to do though with this is let it, you know, put it in the fridge and let it sit overnight. It just kind of helps bind it all together. I feel like it releases some of the moisture, it dries out a little bit, and it just helps bind it. And so I've got a batch that's ready to go. This is cooled overnight. And what I like to do is grab a little cookie sheet. And I've got some parchment paper here. And that way we can just form up some of the beet cakes. This is totally versatile though too. You could make these into beet balls, so like a mock meatball, or great for hors d'oeuvres, or you know, with pasta or something like that. But what I prefer to do, just because it cooks better and more even, is to do little beet cakes. So it's almost like a salmon cake or a potato cake, but it's a beet cake.
And they are dynamite.
Yeah, so if you can help me just kind of scoop up, you'll want to scoop up maybe about a golf ball size into your hand. And just kind of form it into a ball as though we were going to do a beet ball, but then we're going to just kind of mush it down and create the cake. And then lay it down just like that. Perfect.
Getting a little bit bigger now.
Well, no,
a little bit.
The size doesn't really matter in this case.
Well, I like them. That's what they all say. But I do like them a little bit when they're flat, too. I love them when they're in the balls. But I also love them when they're flat because it gives it a little bit more of the surface area for the crispiness.
Right.
And I love when it gets that little crispy. Oh, and the hemp oil. Mmm.
Such a great vegetarian alternative.
I am so... Yes.
So while you're doing that, I'm just going to get some oil hot in the pan. For this, we're also going to be searing these in the pan to get that nice good crust on them. And again, we're going to use our handy dandy hemp oil that we infused earlier. So you're going to be using this
in the
all
handy
the time.
dandy iron skillet, because Franny loves to cook in iron skillets.
Oh yeah. Once you've prepared the patties for the cakes, you'll have about 12 from that batch. We had just a little bit more, but you're looking for about 12 of these cakes. And then we're going to take this over to our hot oil. I've got some oil in the pan here. And we're just going to drop them in Probably about 6 at a time, however many we can get in that pan.
So what type of oil did you use there, Frank?
That's our hemp oil that we just infused.
Yeah, that's actually right back here that we're infusing another batch.
So you're just going to do these in like 2 batches. You want to get a good char crust on the bottom, not, you know, obviously not burn them, but so they have a good texture and a good crust on that side. So we're going to flip this. You want to really get it good on one side. You don't want to just like keep flipping these. So you really only want to flip it once if you can. That little char there that you see, that's okay. Beets have just a little bit more sugar in them, and so they're gonna do that.
That's what makes them so delicious. That's the part I like.
Looking good. Okay, Franny, so we got the beet cakes done. We've got a nice little plate here. Franny, yeah, just put a little field green on there, just a simple plate. But then you can grab a couple of those, the beet cakes that are done there. And just lay those on top, real nice. And then let's crumble just a little bit of goat cheese on there because everybody loves goat cheese with beets.
It's such a good combination. Why is that? Is it something to do with the acidity or?
It's just the flavors of that goat cheese with that earthiness of the... And so this is a avocado cumin CBD sauce that I made. So again, another layer. We had it in the oil to cook them. We have it inside the beets, and now we've got it on top. And then you can also take it, you know, bam it one other notch and give it a little drizzle over the top to get all those flavors.
Oh, tell them what you like to do with that.
I love to use this product as a garnish because you can see, like, when you put it on a white plate like this, it really gives like a nice green hue, and it's just a beautiful extra touch, as well as having medicinal and herbal, you know, attributes.
Deliciousness.
And then let's just throw a little bit of parsley over the top, and voila, my beet cakes.
They're awesome.